Hundreds of thousands of protesters demand stricter gun control laws. Phil Murphy addresses free tuition, and Toys R Us plans to liquidate all their stores in the U.S. All this and more on this episode of Hawk TV News. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hawk TV News. I'm Alyssa Wilson.
And I'm Ariely Batista. On Saturday, March 24th, survivors of the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, along with other Americans, marched on Washington in order to fight for stricter gun control laws. March for Our Lives was created and organized by a hashtag, Never Again, a group of students who survived the school shooting on February 14th. Gun control advocacy group Everytown for Gun Safety helped the students plan the march. With the Stoneman Douglas School being the 8th mass shooting this year, March for Our Lives had three main demands. First, to ban assault weapons that have been used to carry out the mass shootings. Second, to stop the sale of high-capacity magazines. And third, to close loopholes in the background check system. The march started at noon on Pennsylvania Avenue, a few blocks away from the Capitol. Other marches also took place across the country.
Governor Phil Murphy unveiled his first state budget during an address in Trenton on March 13th. This address laid out his plan for how New Jersey tax dollars will be spent this year. The budget has a total of $37.4 billion, which is $2.7 billion more than the budget that former Governor Chris Christie signed last year. According to New Jersey Advance Media, $1.5 billion in new revenue from taxes will be added to the budget. Governor Murphy plans to restore the sales tax to 7%, raise the minimum wage to $15, and legalize marijuana.
The Senate Intelligence Committee is putting pressure on the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen. On March 21st, they urged Nielsen to speed up security measures for elections. This push comes as the midterm elections get closer. Nielsen is investigating Russia's interference in the 2016 presidential election and has been working to improve communication about cybersecurity concerns. Both Democrats and Republicans on the committee expressed disappointment in how long the process is taking.
Monmouth University President Gray Demena has appointed Jonathan Meir as Vice President for University Advancement. Meir will join Monmouth after a 12-year tenure at Rider University and will champion Monmouth's key fundraising initiatives with a special focus on raising funds to support student scholarship and increasing the university's endowment. Meir previously served as Vice President for University Advancement at the University of the Pacific in Stockton, California, and as the Executive Director of Development at Whittier College in Whittier, California. Meir is currently an active member of the Council for the Advancement and Support of Education and serves as a member of the board for the YMCA of Trenton and Hopewell Valley Education Foundation.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy stated in his budget address that $15 million of the 2019 budget will go towards tuition support for low-income students. He said that tuition-free community colleges will be paid for through the increase in state sales tax and the creation of the millionaire's tax. According to the student debt hero, college students in the United States have nearly $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Governor Murphy has pledged to make New Jersey's community colleges tuition-free by 2021.
On March 19th, a self-driving Uber vehicle struck and killed a woman in Arizona. This is the first reported fatal car crash involving a self-driving vehicle and a pedestrian in the United States. The vehicle was in autonomous mode when it hit 49-year-old Elaine Herzberg, who later that night died in the hospital. Uber released a statement that it would cooperate with authorities to investigate the incident. The company first began testing self-driving vehicles in 2016 and found that the cars were running red lights. This caused tension between Uber and state regulators. Temp police have released video of the incident and are doing a thorough investigation.
For a sports update, we now go to Jack Ribel.
There were 17 million perfect Final Fours on ESPN.com. Now, after 4 rounds of March Madness, 550 of those brackets still have the correct Final Four. Let's take a trip down to San Antonio, Texas, and take a look at what we can expect to see in the final 3 games of the NCAA National Championship. In the first game, we have 3-seeded Michigan emerging from the West to take on 11-seeded Loyola Chicago out of the South. Michigan had one of the easier trips to the Final Four as they avoided playing the likes of North Carolina, Gonzaga, and Xavier. Led by junior Moritz Wagner, the Wolverines turned a few heads in their tournament run. After a miraculous buzzer beater prayer by Jordan Poole to defeat Houston in the second round, Michigan would go on to dominate Texas A&M in the Sweet 16 before winning a hard-fought defensive battle against Florida State to advance to their second Final Four under coach John Beilein. The Ramblers of Loyola Chicago have had their share of drama as they won their first 3 games by a combined 4 points before a convincing win against Kansas State in the Elite Eight. It's been a magical run for Sister Jean Dolores and the Ramblers, but I think the clock is about to strike midnight on this Cinderella story. Loyola has not had to defend a player with the set of skills that Moritz Wagner brings to both offense and defense. We should see Michigan's defense dictate the tempo of the game, and we can expect to see Charles Matthews have a big game against the much smaller guards of Loyola. Over to the Midwest and East, Villanova has dominated everyone in their run to the Final Four. Led by Jalen Brunson and Michael Bridges, who are both a part of the 2016 National Championship team, the Wildcats were almost a lock to make the Final Four coming out of the weaker East region. They will face off against the blue blood Kansas Jayhawks, who come in led by senior Devontae Graham. The Jayhawks have had a few close games in the tournament, but held on to the Elite Eight to take down Duke thanks to the incredible performance of Malik Newman. The edge goes to the Wildcats in this matchup with their elite scorers Brunson and Bridges. More than anything, the Wildcats have consistently been one of the nation's best teams this year. In a championship matchup of Villanova and Michigan, I think we will see Villanova take down the Wolverines, and Jay Wright will earn his second title in 3 years. The Wildcats were the best team in the tournament when it began, and nothing has changed since then, as they've dominated everyone they played. Michigan will not be able to control the pace of the game, and Eric Paschal will control the paint against a weaker Wagner, setting Brunson, Paschal, and Bridges up for a ladder to cut down their second national championship net. I hope to help some of you in what has been a wild March. Back to you guys at the desk.
We have to take a short break, but stay tuned for more Hawk TV News.
Listen.
All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just...
Listen.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Toys R Us is planning to liquidate all its stores across the United States, putting 30,000 employees at risk. The Wayne-based toy retailer says the liquidation will affect paychecks because the company will not have enough money to pay them back. New Jersey workers are guaranteed unemployment insurance but not severance pay, so the company is advising its employees to check their pension plans. Toys R Us also advises everyone to redeem any remaining gift cards they have before the stores close. Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection last fall.
Hillary Clinton will make a special appearance at Rutgers University for a public talk. Rutgers Eagleton Institute of Politics will host a talk on March 29th at the College Avenue Gym on the New Brunswick campus. Clinton will talk with Eagleton director Ruth Mandel about her years in public life, the institutions of government, her political career, and her role in shaping women's political history. The former Secretary of State will visit the university as the Eagleton Institute's 2017-2018 Clifford P. Case Professor of Public Affairs. Free general admission tickets will be available to Rutgers students, faculty, and staff, and remaining tickets will be offered to the general public.
New Jersey state authorities have identified the man killed by police after an armed standoff at a Panera Bread restaurant in Princeton. Scott Millence of Lawrenceville was shot and killed after refusing to surrender peacefully to the police. The incident took place a block from Princeton University's Nassau Hall, and employees and customers were able to escape the building before Millence was killed. The incident is being investigated by the Attorney General's shooting and response team.
For information about the fire at the Siberian Shopping Center, we now go to my co-anchor.
Fire at a Siberian shopping center kills at least 53 and leaves others injured. The fire broke out in the city of Kemerovo in the mall known as Winter Sherry on the top floor of the building. It is presumed to have started in the cinema hall. The fire destroyed 1,600 square meters, injuring 47 other people. Children were missing after the fire and still have yet to be accounted for. The top floor of the hall included the cinema, bowling alley, a children's center, and a petting zoo. According to the state news agent TASS, the roof of the building collapsed as seen in one of the videos taken at the scene during the fire. This is one of the main reasons why a lot of people who are missing have yet to be accounted for. And this number will only keep rising. A person was seen jumping from a window into the black smoke that was caused by the fire. It turned out to be an 11-year-old boy who survived from jumping from the 4th floor. Unfortunately, his parents and younger brother died in the fire. The cause of the fire that lasted 12 hours is yet to be determined. A criminal case has been opened in this case, and 4 people were taken into custody, including the tenant of the premises where the fire started. This is all I have for you guys today. Back to you guys at the desk. We have to take another short break, but stay tuned for more Hawk TV news.
Hawk TV News, and we've got it covered. This is Hawk TV News.
This is Hawk TV News, and we've got it covered.
The state of New Jersey is one of several fighting against President Trump's plan to permit offshore drilling. Along with New York, California, Rhode Island, and South Carolina, New Jersey is now introducing bills that would make it nearly impossible for oil rigs or any drilling-related structures to be built within state waters. Petroleum companies are pushing back and have made that claim that drilling would help bring in additional revenue for the state. New Jersey is still pushing with their bill and has also soon to become one of the states that is exempt from President Trump's offshore drilling plan.
Scientists in Chicago have designed a once-daily capsule which safely suppresses reproduces hormones in men. This would be an appealing candidate for male birth control pill. Of the 83 men who consumed the pill treatment, one of them suffered through any troubling symptoms. This pill works similar to female birth control using hormonal contraception. The men gained a small amount of weight and their cholesterol was affected. A 3-month study is expected to be launched soon.
The White House has publicly condemned an unknown White House employee for leaking President Trump's briefing materials. The leak has landed the president in hot water for not following directions regarding his contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The briefing warned the president to not congratulate Putin on his recent election victory. The president failed to follow these instructions or condemn Putin over the poisoning of a former Russian double agent and his daughter. This only strengthens the scrutiny that this administration is already facing in regards to Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election.
A team at MIT has unveiled a robotic fish called Sophie. It is time to swim naturally with other fish in open water and watch them without disturbing their natural habitat. This 18-inch long fish has been to Fiji's Rainbow Reef, where it swam in 50 feet of water for 40 minutes. The diver directs a robot's movement using a waterproof Super Nintendo controller. The robot is made up of flexible plastic, soft silicone, and rubber pieces. The researchers hope Sophie will help find out more marine life and the impacts of climate change.
Chrissy Metz, star of the show This Is Us, revealed that she was abused by her stepfather growing up. Metz opened up about the abuse in her memoir, This Is Me, which was released March 27th. Metz believes her body offended him in some way, and he would shove, slap, and punch her. She would hide her eating habits by sneaking snacks into the bathroom in the middle of the night to avoid her stepfather. Metz says, however, the abuse only made her stronger as a person.
The Price is Right Live is heading to Asbury Park Paramount Theater on October 28th. The event will not be televised but will feature games regular viewers are familiar, including Plinko, The Big Wheel, and Cliffhangers. There will be cash prizes and other big ticket winnings such as cars and vacations. The live show has awarded more than $12 million in cash and prizes so far. Anyone interested in playing the game must be at least 18 years and old, be a legal resident of the United States or Canada.
Science is backing up the idea that food affects your mood. Deakin University's Food and Mood Center has a study that involved men and women who were taking antidepressants. Participants of the study, had unhealthy diets at the start. Half of the participants were then placed on a healthy diet. The other half continued eating their typical diet. After 3 months of healthier eating, those who changed their diet saw a positive increase of mood and no longer met standards of depression. Participants with no dietary change barely improved their mood.
We now go to Tony Green for a preview of Major League Baseball's upcoming season.
Opening day for Major League Baseball starts on March 29th, and that means hope for fans all across the country. With that in mind, it's time to preview the top storylines heading into the 2018 season. The most buzz will likely surround the Yankees, who added last year's National League MVP Giancarlo Stanton to their already effective lineup. The acquisition of Stanton will configure one of the most intimidating middle-of-the orders in recent history when he joins sluggers Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez. The trio hit over 130 home runs combined last year, and this offensive prowess will make the Yankees one of the favorites to win the World Series this year. But if they're going to win it all, first they have to dethrone last year's world champions, the Houston Astros. The Astros have all the pieces to be able to make a run at a repeat, bringing back most of their important players, as well as adding valuable free agents. Last year, they added veteran ace Justin Verlander to solidify their rotation and support their already dynamic offensive led by Jose Altuve. This winter, they improved their rotation by signing former Pittsburgh Pirate free agent pitcher Garrett Cole. These will not be the only teams who have the potential to take home the crown. The Washington Nationals have been perennial contenders in recent years and will do everything in their power to get over the hump this year before superstar outfielder Bryce Harper becomes a free agent at the end of the year. The Indians will also be trying to get the monkey off their back, led by talented pitching staff that will attempt to make it back for the postseason for the 3rd year in a row. Major League Baseball is filled with talented teams who can contend this year, and it should make for one exciting season. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Back to you at the desk.
We have to take another short break, but when we return, Ryan Waldis has the latest on Monmouth sports.
The Extra Point is Hawk TV's only sports show, and what I love about The Extra Point is that it allows people to really come on and talk about what they're passionate in, and that's sports.
When I first got here, I didn't really know what to expect. It was really a fun time. This is the most fun I've had in college so far. It's really not as competitive as people will think it is. I've been on air for almost every episode of Extra Point.
Unscripted debate is probably the best format for sports shows today, and I think that's what's growing. So more than anything else, The Extra Point just provides people to come on Hawk TV to talk about what they love, and that's sports.
Tell me, what's it like being a producer?
It's so much fun, especially when I get to work with Matt.
You put in a lot of work, try and get your moves right. You want to make the show look as smooth as possible. You don't want choppy zooms in and out. You want to make it look like the camera's not even there. This is my first time at the Extra Point. I'm just saying, I'm coming back now. They got me hooked.
I control this switcher right here, and I pretty much make what the director says happen. Start your move, slowly zoom out, and fade to black.
Gorgeous. That is how it's done. We make big TV here. We practice, we execute, we get paid.
Nick, that's all right. I throw a couple of 15-second PSAs in there, and we're good.
You're done.
Let's take a look at how your Monmouth Hawks are doing. The baseball team fell 1-2 in a 3-game series against Marist on March 24th. Pete Papson had a home run in the first game, which would be the lone long ball of the series for the Hawks. Ricky Dennis picked up his second win of the season in the 13-6 rout of Marist. The Hawks moved to 5-13 on the year and will face Hofstra in the home opener on March 28th before taking on Canisius in a 3-game series on March 30th. The women's lacrosse team earned their first conference win of the season against Quinnipiac on March 24th. Alexis Smith scored 4 goals as the Hawks took down the Bobcats 14-8. Riley Bragger had 9 saves in what was a great win all around for Monmouth. The women improved to 3-7 on the season and will travel to Marist on March 31st to take on the Foxes. The men's lacrosse team fell to Detroit Mercy in overtime on March 24th. It was a tough loss for the Hawks as Detroit tied the game with 6 seconds left and would win the game with a goal on their first possession of overtime. Bryce Wasserman tallied 3 goals, all of which brought Monmouth back from a 5-2 deficit in the second half. The Hawks fall to 3-5 on the year and will look to get back on track against Siena on March 31st. Women's basketball assistant coach Janet Butler has been named to the Women's Basketball Association's 30 Under 30 list. The list recognizes 30 women across all levels of basketball on the rise under the age of 30. Butler joined the team in August of 2017, and head coach Jody Craig said she is an invaluable member of our staff and has a bright future in coaching. The football team began spring practice on March 22nd at 8:30 a.m. The Hawks are coming off their best season since 2006 after going 9-2 in the regular season and losing to Northern Iowa in the first round of the Division I AA championship. The practices will conclude on April 21st with the annual Blue and White Spring Game. Well, that's all I have for you this week. For more on your college and pro sports, be sure to tune into The Extra Point right here on Hawk TV. Back to you guys at the desk.
That's all for this week of Hawk TV News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ariely Batista.
And I'm Melissa Wilson. Be sure to tune in next time for another edition of Hawk TV News.
So M Factor is basically a take on X Factor. So we have performers either just with their music or they have their guitars or pianos. It's basically a talent competition. One person gets voted off every week. We try to do different themes, and I think the season's been going pretty well. We have a really great act, and I can't wait to see what next week brings.
My name is Christopher Sabatino. I'm the director of tonight's program. So basically I just look at the monitor here and see which camera shots look good, and while I'm looking at those, I decide which ones to go do. Then I tell the technical director who sits in the chair over there which cameras to cut to.
Are you working the Steadicam tonight?
I am.
What does that entail?
It entails a lot of steady hands and a lot of watching my back so I don't run into Dylan. He's on the other camera and he likes getting in my way. Back camera away. Back knob away. Starting over, guys. All ready?
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
The first day stepping on the court, I couldn't keep up. That motivated me to step up my game. When I reach a goal, I set a new one the next day. The best feeling is getting to a place you've been fighting for. Tennis taught me to never give up in anything. School, sports, life. Your opponent has to earn their victory. Nothing in life is guaranteed, so education is important. Going to college is one of my biggest goals. I can't wait. Mastering the court takes persistence. So does getting into college. I've got what it takes.